Well, hello there. This is Longhaultanker coming at you from the Love's Truck Stop in Tehachapi, California. And I am in shower room number 2, I think, maybe 3. I forgot. So we are getting ready to do a shave. And I've got plenty to tell you. I've got approximately 48 hours, even more than 48 hours of growth of whiskers on my face. I attended the Shaving Cadres Zoom call last night. I'll tell you more about that along the way. And we had some interesting snafus on our delivery in Bakersfield this morning. And I'll tell you more about that as we get going. But right now I'm going to get some of the soap water off of the puck and get it going here. I've got a fan right here above my head on the wall, so you may hear some humming from that. All right, let's go over the equipment that I'm going to be using for tonight. And for our soap, we're continuing to use this week's Vanderhagen shave soap, luxury shave soap. It lathers up well, it smells pleasant. It's inexpensive, quite inexpensive. It's about $4 a puck, $4.95 a puck I saw on the web last night, or a couple of nights ago. And we always use the Ozma alum block after the shave and head shave. You don't ever see that part, but for our razor tonight, now this may be a pass or it may be a fail, I don't know. But what I want you to, it's a whacker. I want you to see the scales though, but it's a whacker Handgeschmiedet, German. But it's got nice etching on the spine, but I want you to look at the scales. I want you to look, these are the second most beautiful scales that I possess. The first being with the Count Engelbert Boker razor that I've got. This is approximately 1 inch. It was sold as a 1 inch. There's a German measurement. I was told this is a razor that I bought, one of the last razors that I bought from John Crowley in Fort Worth before he fell off the radar. Now the reason I say this, now I want you to look real close, and I'll see if I can find the original picture and insert it into the video. But I want you to see if you can see the pitting, not the pitting, the patina, the staining that has developed on the front and the rear, the spotting. Strange story with this. Just an absolutely beautiful razor when it was purchased, when I saw the pictures. And not long after I received the razor, and let me say this too, this is the most expensive razor that I have personally purchased. I say personally, I've personally purchased all my razors, but the most expensive razor I have purchased, and it was $525. Okay, fine. Now, it wasn't long after the purchase, month or 2, 3, that it began this staining on the face of the razor. And the sad thing about it was that the staining was also appearing on the bevel and on the edge and on the apex. And I just found that infuriating, because I'd hone it up real nice. I'd get a good shave off of it, maybe two. And by the time it came up again in rotation, which, 6 weeks, 8 weeks later at that time, because I didn't have as many razors then, it wouldn't shave for nothing, because that staining process was continuing, it was ongoing, and I found that just insufferable. And I did some reading on this staining stuff, patina and such like, that gets down onto the bevel and into the edge. And now I can't help I don't know how you stop that process. But what I've learned in my reading was that there's something about the steel, and you have to hone past the bevel. In other words, you have to decrease the width of the razor. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to hone off steel unnecessarily. But that some were saying that there is a level or a degree of badly mixed steel underneath that patina, and that's why it continues to form up. And so with that in mind, I went heavy on the hones and tried to get back from the edge, back from the bevel. And a little bit at a time to see. And I took almost, 6 months, a year working on that razor. And I would use it exclusively for a week on the road at a time, and if I got a week's worth of shaves out of it consistently, then I would put it back in rotation, and so far it has done well. And if I remember correctly, it was finished, it came up through the progressions on the Shapton glass stones, and I'll say some more about that, don't let me forget. And finished on the 30,000. So this should be a 30, I think I'm almost positive. The alternative would be one of the Arkansas stones, because they do such a fabulous job. Well, they all do, but the Arkansas seems to be a bit more crisp, give a feel or sensation of being sharper than, say, a conical. This was certainly not finished on the conical. Let's see if I'm happy with my suds. Yeah, enough. So we'll see how this shave goes tonight. Now, if it's a fail and I'm not getting a good shave off of it, I'm going to set it aside and pick up my head razor that I plan to use, which is a inexpensive Union razor, gold dollar knockoff that they sell here at the truck stops, which I have a number of them, and I got them honed up on. All of the Union razors I have are honed up on the Arkansas stones. So, one's a translucent, one's a surgical black, one's a true hard, and I just don't remember which is which. So let's get this started and see what it turns into. As I was looking at the edge while I was stropping it in the truck tonight, it was shiny, it was pretty, there was no spotting, so. And this is, we've moved on from the Wyatt collection in the dark brown buckskin. We're now in the black buckskin. And this is actually number 2 position razor in that roll-up series. I skipped number 1 tonight because I had such a full growth of whiskers, and this is such a big razor. I wanted to use this razor on this level of growth. Number 1 is not as big, and you'll see that the next video. So far that feels pretty good. So I've got to tell you, let's go back to the Shapton glass for a second, because it won't take but a minute to say this. And that is that the Shapton glass honing stones form the basis or foundation for all my honing. I've got the 500, I've got the 1,000, I've got the 2,000, I've got the 4,000, the 8,000, 16,000, and 30,000 grit stones. When I first started with the straight razor shaving and honing, when I first saw those Lynn Abrams videos, and I said, yep, this is what I want to do. I took 30 days before I bought a thing and watched a whole bunch of videos at night in the truck. Listen to everybody talk about their Naniwas and Gramicos, and I'm not saying the names right, mostly because I'm not sure how they're pronounced, but I don't really care. If you go back and look at those shaving or honing videos of Lynn's, you'll see that he does a series, or at least one, on each of the different kinds of stones. And so you get a fair look at all of them. And I decided that's the set I want, the Shapton glass. But I also realized that they were expensive. And so my first purchase was the Norton 4.8, just like everybody else does. And that's what I started on for a while, until I had more money to start buying other, like the Shapton glass. And so my usual routine is to set the bevel. If it's a difficult bevel or I need to take a little microchip out or something, I may go to the 500. And then bring it up through the progressions. And if I intend to jump off to a natural stone, I'll bring it up to the 8,000, and then from there jump to the natural stone, whatever one that may be. But that's what I wanted to say about the shafting glass. To me, they're easy to use, they're consistent. I've never had a problem with them. So it's been about, I would say, 3, 4, 5 months since I've used this razor. I use it once in rotation. If all goes well, I stick it back in the leather roll-up and say thank you very much and move on to the next one. You know, the collecting's the half the fun. The having is more than half the fun of these razors. Yeah, I got that one. You know, and so I keep everything sharp. They're all in rotation. Even my gold dollars and union razors. Today was not a particularly fun day at work. Got the load going to Bakersfield. Drove. They gave me 4 days to go 3 days. So I got to the truck stop in Bakersfield yesterday afternoon about 2 o'clock because I wanted to be a part of that Zoom call at 3 o'clock Pacific time. So I was well in place to make my delivery. The delivery time for my load was at 11 a.m. this morning. And so I got up, I slept in, I parked at a truck stop that was 12 miles from my delivery point. So as I say, I slept in a little bit. I got up about 8 o'clock this morning, and you know, with my wife making all of my food and my breakfast burritos, I pulled all that stuff out and had breakfast. Well, I'm sitting there, and along about 9 a.m. or so, which would be 11 o'clock Houston time, I get a call from my dispatch manager. Leon, where are you? Are you there yet? Are you there yet? I said, why would I be there yet? It's 9 o'clock. Appointment's not till 11. I'm 12 miles away. Why would I go early? And 90% of the time, they're not going to take you early, so why start your clock, right? Your driver's clock, your DOT clock. You drivers will know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to start my clock early and burn my hours for the day when I'm not even doing anything. Get over there only to be told, go park over there and wait. No, I'm not going to do that. And so I say to the dispatch manager, I say, why are you really calling? Why do you need to know where I am when you can see by the GPS where I'm actually at? Why? What? So anyway, well, the reason I'm really calling is because the customer can't take you. We're going to have to redirect your load. They still went to the same customer, just a different location. 3 hours away, you know, like I said, it was about 9 o'clock when they called me. By the time they gave me 4 separate addresses and none of them verified out. You look on the satellite map. Nope, that's a residential neighborhood. I'm not going in there. Call them back. I need another address. And after the 4th failure, the dispatch manager said, well, here, call this lady over here. This is who I've been talking to. Okay, fine, I'll talk to her. She tried to give me the same address. I said, I won't do. None of them verify out. And she got a little exasperated. And she said, well, you need to call this guy. He's actually there. Oh, okay. Should have done that the first time. So I called him. I said, look, none of those addresses are verifying out. What I'd like for you to do is just send me a pin drop. You know what a pin drop is on the Apple Maps or Google Maps? Send me a pin drop of where it is you want me to go. And it wasn't a plant. That's what I got to tell you. It was not a chemical plant. It was an oil field, which I'm not used to going to. I go into the chemical plants, not oil fields. And he did. He sent me a pin drop. Now, when you send those pin drops to people from Apple and Google, you know what else is on there? GPS coordinates, longitude and latitude. I love those because I can program them into my Rand McNally GPS. And I've got a pinpoint spot to go, and I love it. But nobody else. We live in this modern age of technology with electronics, and you know, it's not like longitude and latitude is a new invention. You know, give me the longitude and the latitude. I would much prefer to have longitude and latitude than a street address. Because I'll tell you, half the time those are wrong anyway. So he sent me the pin address, and I said 3 hours away from Bakersfield to Santa Maria, further west than Bakersfield. I did not know that there was so much more to California beyond the 99 and the I-5 to the west. So I drove to the pin drop that the guy sent me. He said, drive to the pin drop, call me when you get on the 101, and I'll have a guy meet you there at the pin drop. Okay, fine. It was a itty bitty little dirt driveway off the shoulder of the 101. I've never seen such a thing in my life. I was moderately concerned about getting rammed in the rear as I pulled off onto the shoulder. So, from Bakersfield, almost 3 hours over, and I didn't prepare for going that extra distance, and so I was almost out of diesel. I was down to an eighth of a tank of diesel by the time I got back over to when I left Bakersfield this morning. I had a half a tank of diesel, drove almost 3 hours over, almost 3 hours back, plus the extra hour onto Tehachapi. And it was about 6 o'clock when I get in, 6:30, and my greatest concern was finding a place to park. And to my surprise and satisfaction, when I got here, Tehachapi was not even 60, let me say it the other way around, it was about 60% empty. And for 6:30 at night, after dark, forget about it. That is, and in California, forget about it. That's unheard of. Now, I don't know what makes Tehachapi any different than anywhere else. There's because it's so near the desert, and maybe it's not a thoroughfare, and there's several truck stops nearby. I don't know. But I'm just glad because I needed to shave. I hadn't showered or shaved in 48 hours, and that's bordering on unacceptable. I think that's about all I wanted to tell you about the work. I will say that the guys that worked with me today, and I'll just say Sam, he'll never see this video, but Sam, who helped me out, was just great. Iced tea, I got some sweet iced tea there. Which that makes for a perfect segue to talking about the Zoom call last night. And that is, first of all, I want to say thank you for making me feel welcome. Being new, I didn't say much. I wasn't looking to intrude myself, or even speak up as a part of the conversation. Because I was new. I'm listening. I'm trying to get a sense of the ebb and flow, That was nice. I want to say a special thanks and shout out to Barbara Dave for engaging me and bringing me into the conversation on things that were relevant to me, like truck driving, and making me feel comfortable. Now, I want to say this too, and that is that I couldn't hear squat except for Dave, for whatever reason, don't know. Later, I was on and stayed with it for about an hour and a half, and the connectivity issues became intolerable toward the end for me. So if some of you fellas saw me disappear out of the lineup, that's why. And so I was enjoying myself. There was a conversation that I just caught a whiff of that started to take up between Bill M. and others about whiskey. And I think Bill said something about Johnny Walker Black Label. Now, I'm not an alcohol guy. For years and years and years, all my life, never drank alcohol. Only in the last 4 or 5 years have I started to. I'm not a beer guy. Forget about it. Can't stand it. Now here's a little story about whiskey and me growing up. I remember as a kid finding a bottle of whiskey in my grandmother's cooking cabinet with all her stuff. And I do remember plainly it was a Jack Daniels, and I took a little sip of that out of the bottle, and it was absolutely horrid. You know, I don't remember how old I was, 14, 15, whatever. Set my mouth on fire. I remember when I had my wisdom teeth pulled out, I waited too long to start taking the meds and painkillers. And I had a tremendous pain as my jaw began, my sockets began to waken up, or awaken, and at that time, my mother-in-law, my ex-wife's mother, said, "Go to the liquor store and get a bottle of Wild Turkey." And it just reminded me of that teenage experience that I had, that whiskey was awful. And as far as knowing the difference between bourbon and scotch and whatever else there is. And so for 60 plus years of my life, never touched alcohol. And when I did start drinking a little bit, when I did start drinking a little bit, it was always the sweet stuff. Kahlua, Irish cream. Now you immediately thought Bailey's, but I actually like the Michael's better. I gotta say the razor is performing very satisfactorily. I've got no complaints. So I've got a truck driving buddy who's a former Marine, if such can be said about a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And he and I were talking about whiskey one day. What I don't like, and I never liked about whiskey, is how it sets your mouth on fire. How can you taste anything after that? And then I heard one of the fellas, Nurse Dave, start talking about some whiskey, and he got the conversation with Bill going. And Bill had made a comment about Johnny Walker Red, or black. No, it was black. And then I think he mentioned red as well, but he certainly mentioned black. And which was interesting because about 2 months ago, I purchased a bottle of Johnny Walker Red. Now my wife, she loves Hennessy, and I can't stand it. Can't stand it. Sets my mouth on fire. It is absolutely terrible. And so I got the Johnny Walker Red, and I knew my friend, my truck driving friend, the Marine, he was on a load. I went to the liquor store and bought it. And on the way home, see, I'm not a drinker, so I don't know these things, right? And it's a fairly private road to get into and out of my neighborhood. And so I took the cap off with the bottle still in the sack from the liquor store, and I took a sip of it, driving home. And I got him on the phone with me. And he says, "Dude, you just broke the law." I had no idea. I had no idea. I was still as sober as a judge. No, sober as a preacher. No. So as sober as a nun. No, that don't work either. As sober as a, I don't know. Does anybody say sober anymore? I don't know. I'm being facetious. All right. Sober as a doctor. No, that don't work either. And so, then it wasn't long after that, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, then I bought a bottle of the black, Johnny Walker Black. And it's got just a little bit more sting or bite, not much, very tolerable. I like the red label was $25. The black label was like $45, and I saw a glass on the Zoom call last night. It looked like a little sniffer glass or something, what I call a sniffer glass, and I could take that, fill it up halfway or a third of the way, and that'll last me all day and all night. That's how much I drank. So, whatever that means. And so I kind of like shaving soaps, you know, where you're dealing with the scents and you're trying to pick out the accents and the front notes, the back notes, etc. You know, I know a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on that sort of thing with wines and alcohols and whiskeys and such like. I just don't know what in the world I'm tasting. But I did like the red label, and I did like the black label. I hear there's a blue label, but that's like astronomically expensive. And it's just not that serious. But I would have liked to heard more of that conversation. And it worked out with regard to my schedule to be on that Sunday afternoon, because I knew that I could get to a truck stop, get shut down, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to be on this Zoom call. I said, she said, well, that's fine. You go right ahead, but don't take up time when you're at home with that sort of thing. Your home time is my time. Yes, ma'am. She who must be obeyed. It feels fabulous. So all in all, today's ended up to be just a fine day, a good day. Got the load unloaded. I don't have a backhaul, which means I'll be home by Thursday. And yes, this little detour I took today probably would take about, I'm gonna let it take 24 hours out of my return trip. So instead of getting in on Wednesday, I'll get in on Thursday. And Barbara Dave, your invitation to stop by, I may be shooting you a note tonight about tomorrow. Now, it's been about 4 or 5 months since my last load to California. I never know where I'm going from one week to the next, from one load to the next. that is feeling really good. I'm surprised. I'm surprised I haven't had a knock at the door. Are you done yet? We're at 59 minutes and 33 seconds on the video. Add on another 15-20 minutes for the shower, so you can see how much time I'm taking. But that's customary for me every night in the truck stops. And I enjoy it. I enjoy going. Since I've come back to doing the videos, I love it. Absolutely love it. And the shaving cadre has been a blessing to me as well, so I'm appreciating that. And Bill, I want to say that I wish we had had more of an opportunity to speak more directly to each other. But our little hit and runs at each other have been fine. That is okay. All right, let's rinse this thing off and do our final touch-ups, and we will call it done. We're at 105. No, I'm going to drag my feet going home. I'm in no hurry. I did not get the backhaul out of San Diego that I anticipated, or hoped for. I talked to got a different dispatch manager that handles the backhauls. I talked to him, and he was trying to put together what I call a midnight express from Los Angeles to Big Spring, Texas. Nope, not me. And of course it was late on Friday when I talked to him. And I've known this guy for 10 years. He's a good guy. Well, I had an alarm go off on my clock, on my yeah. That looks pretty good. I can live with that. I like this nice long edge I've got on here that I can get that whole length right there and feel pretty good about it. I think I'll leave that there. Okay, I think we're going to call it right there. So all the fellas over there at the Chevy Cadre that I was on the Zoom call with yesterday, wish I could have stayed longer with you. Just it wasn't the connectivity issues. Wasn't helping me out. I don't know. So all in all, for the whacker, handgeschmitten, whatever it is, hand forged, I think that is translated. Beautiful horn scales. It's an 8/8 1-inch razor. It's a half hollow, I'm going to say. What do you think? Half hollow? Do a little hand wiping on it. And now the other reason I didn't send this back, John Crowley offered me the option to send this back. I said, "You got another one?" He said, "No, it's the only one I got." No, I'm going to keep it. But the this side of the scales is slightly warped inward, so I got to be real careful when I insert the blade. But it's a wonderful razor. I love it, and it did a fine job tonight. So with that, I'm going to say good night, and I will see you down the road.